Could class return to Dottigab, please?
Where was that, sir?
I said Dottigab.
When your nose is stuffed up, try sucking tunes.
So we'll keep an eye on that as it continues to evolve. Mike Parry's in the studio. He's up with Jason Cundy at 11. Good morning, Mike.
Hi,
Yes,
Mike.
good morning, folks. Warm up, as you quite rightly say, at 11 o'clock. There's only one story in town for me today, and that's Salford versus Stevenage, OK? It's live on talkSPORT 2, 12:30 kickoff. But what a romantic tale that is, Tony. You know what I mean? This team have had 5 promotions in the last 6 seasons. If they get one now, it'll be 6 in 7. Obviously, they've got the might and the glamour and the wealth of the class of 92 behind them. But it doesn't matter. It's about a community. And you know what? I think more and more people are going to turn to Salford-like situations. I was talking to a colleague of ours in talkSPORT here earlier this week who supports Woking. And he walks to the ground, he walks back to a crowd of 2,000, goes in the social club before the game, goes in the social club after the game, you know what I mean? Sees his mates. But, you know, the sheer terror of getting to and from Premier League games these days and grounds, you know, when there's 70,000 people sometimes, and the planning you have to put into it and the cost and all that. And I do think that, you know, lower league football and maybe even non-league football will start to grow.
Well, it's been growing, Mike, for a long time. And let's remember, Salford is not a small area.
No, it's not. Salford is the borough in which Manchester United is located, of course, but nevertheless, their average crowd last season was just over 2,000. They got a total of 57,000 fans for all their games, which wouldn't even fill Old Trafford for one home game. But I do honestly think that romantic tales like this, it is a very romantic tale. You know, Salford captain Liam Hogan said the club's ambition is to continue the rapid rise. And funnily enough, I did some work with Phil Neville last season and said to Phil, you know, what's the ceiling for Salford? And he said the Champions League. He said, unless you start thinking like that, there's no point in going on. But it would be great if some of those great names turn up today. You know, if David Beckham should turn up and all that, they'll become the real glamour team of the lower league. So we're going to keep a very close eye on that, folks. Also, the Harry Maguire transfer, I don't quite understand. Why has it taken 5 or 6 weeks? I don't know, 5 or 6 weeks ago, he could have gone on the pre-season tours, couldn't he, and got himself integrated into the team, because isn't it a bit late now to fit a new man, you know, an arch defender, the key, you know, defensive brick in your team, into the team 4 days before you start the season?
Yeah, Mike, you know negotiations.
Well, I do know negotiations, but I think one side here has been overly stubborn, because Manchester United have ended up paying the same, if not more, than they were quoted at the start of the transfer window. So, in my view, they should have done a bit better. OK, all this and much, much more, folks. I'm with Jason Cundy today. Jason's a huge fan of one of the greatest singers we've ever heard, Tony Bennett, who, believe it or not, is 93 years of age today, and, of course, made famous the famous song, I Left My Heart in San Francisco. Could you believe that's Jason Cundy's favourite singer of all time? And I always thought it was George Michael. Right. George Michael. OK, folks, all this and much, much more from 11 o'clock here on talkSPORT.
Thank you, Mike. Just quickly, before we go time tunnelling, with Cundy Jr., by the way, Mark Isles, who is a very diligent reporter covering Bolton Wanderers. We've just been covering Bury. Bolton Wanderers, another club in a little bit of turmoil. Connor Hall has an injury. 5 senior players on board the team bus today, 2 of who are goalkeepers. So 3 outfield players that are senior for Bolton Wanderers as they go to take on Wycombe today in League One.
Yeah,
so, I mean, we think
worrying.
Bury's in big doo-doo. Bolton Wanderers is equally worrying. He also says absolutely no update on the takeover either. So thank you, Mark Isles. If you want to follow him, Marciles. He is first with a lot of Bolton Wanderers news and has been absolutely brilliant this summer as a prophet of doom, basically, because it's not all good at Bolton. We'll come back to that. We're going to do this.
I'll stop the world and melt with you.
So before a blocked nose ruins your day, let Vicks Sinex Soother help unblock your nose and soothe your sinuses.
There's nothing you and I won't.
Vicks. We start with solutions, not problems.